I'm not stressing. I wouldn't say stressing. Just like, here we go. Gosh. Now we've got to put the face on.
Oh, the
You
people love it.
know, look at us. We're all professionals. Here we are, everybody.
Yes,
Yes,
we are.
yes.
Yes,
Blah,
yes.
blah. Gosh. Again. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. We'll start it a little bit different. And I'll add the yes. No, we're going to do it right, aren't we? We have to do it right. Let's start again. Yes, everybody. And welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from PercysGrowRoom.com. I am Mackie from the UK, and joining us this week, we have Marge.
Hello, everyone. This is Marge from Central Canada and also host of Bite Me, the show about edibles.
We also have Monkey Doo.
Hey, everybody. Monkey here, coming to you live from Southeast United States. Hope everybody has something nice to smoke on today and that the weather is getting a little nicer. We should be having winter leaving us mostly, shouldn't we?
Sorry, what you said? What? Winter leaving us?
It should be leaving us now. I mean, come on now. It's 25 degrees outside.
So I just got a little bit distracted there, but by even the thought of what you were saying, it's like we are
Celsius,
like,
man.
Well, we do cannabis news. Why don't we do cannabis weather as well?
Ooh. Dude, look. Every tree in my yard is budded out. The grass is green. The neighbors are cutting lawns, and it's not even March yet. This is scary.
Beautiful.
It is pretty mild here today, too, actually.
Yeah, man.
It
Nice.
is bizarre.
Felt cold here today. We were down to like 0 degrees C. But it just
0
felt cold.
degrees.
Yeah.
That feels cold.
Yeah, it definitely felt cold, man. It wasn't cool. I don't like it. But just holding out because we're on the way to summertime. It's on the way. Well, us in the northern hemisphere. Anyway.
The days are getting brighter too, which is
man.
So
I was saying
nice.
to Monkey the other day about I was walking the dogs and just thought summer's on the way, man. That means like just chilling in the evening when it's warm outside and
yes.
everything's green, all the flowers are in bloom and it
Birds
nice
are
long
chirping.
man. That's my
smoke
shit.
barbecue.
But yes, we're getting distracted, everybody. Look, we're all reminiscing. Everybody close your eyes and just imagine
That's right.
being
it's
in the
around
summer.
Oh, you don't have to imagine. You just come down here in the Southeast, man. It's already summer feeling down here.
You got Will Smith playing in the background.
I mean, come on. T-shirt, short pants, and my wife had bare feet, man. It's crazy.
Oh, damn. Yeah, so hope everybody is good out there. We got lots of news stories to be covering this week. We have more news out of Germany. We've been following that for quite a while now. And we've got some news stories to cover from there. I'll read a few out that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about why patients need to come clean about cannabis to their anesthesiologist, which is difficult for some people, because it might not be legal in their country. But we're going to talk about that in a few minutes when we get to cannabis news. We've got a top crime boss has been jailed for running a cannabis farm in Scotland. He didn't pay the appropriate government bills, so he's a crime boss rather than an entrepreneur. But we'll cover that when we get there. This one is strange. City could get new power to close illegal cannabis shops because apparently the city doesn't have power to close illegal establishments. Whatever that means. Cocaine is becoming very popular in Hong Kong and maybe even more popular than cannabis. So we're going to discuss why we think that is when we get to that news story. So we got another fact check from Monkey as well. We had one last week, and this one is going to be about teen mental health. So, and even more after that, we've got loads of stories. We'll just give you just a couple more here. A veterans group joins call for Biden administration to reschedule cannabis. Yeah, skeptical about that shit. This whole rescheduling thing is scary, A shitload of arrests here in the UK. Only a little bit of cash compared to the amount of arrests was seized. But yeah, got some skeptical things to say about this one as well when we get to that. And then, of course, the news from Germany. So lots of news to be covering there. We're going to try to get them all in. But first, what's up, Monkey?
Yes.
But first.
We have a challenge going on here today.
Oh yeah, everybody. Did you do your homework, everybody?
Did
you do your homework?
I did.
Yes. And I also did mine. And if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, there were 2 pieces of homework last week. I hope you all made your canna butter and enjoyed some infused dishes with your canna butter there. But we also asked everybody to go out and get themselves some Turkish delight. Is there anybody out there in chat who managed to get themselves some Turkish delight? let us know.
That wasn't easy to find. I couldn't find anything locally, so I actually had to order mine. And I think it's funny because I think Mackie, you also ordered, right?
Yeah, as I said, I went on a mission. Did an hour's drive to a big shopping mall here in the UK, and then I walked around that place for like an hour and a half, going into all the different shops to see what they had, and nobody had Turkish Delight. Where I even messaged Marge and explained that to her, and I was like, "But you know what they have? It's like chocolate. That's everywhere because people like it. You know why Turkish Delight is nowhere to be found? Because nobody likes it."
It's a delicacy.
Gee, yeah, it's a delicacy. So's insect ass. Jesus.
Well,
I mean, chocolate's everywhere. Look at all that like waxy, crappy chocolate that's coming out for Easter already.
yeah, man. I don't buy that stuff. No way.
It's horrible.
It is. You might as well just eat the wax. Eat the box. It's better for you. You know?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I forgot about that.
But it's crazy though, because yeah, we ordered these things off of Amazon without consulting either one of us. Didn't tell each other what we had. We ordered exactly the same brand, exactly the same stuff. So Mackie and I are looking at the same assortment here: strawberry, peach, melon, tangerine, and blackberry. And I haven't even busted the plastic open. So here goes.
There you go.
Oops.
So if anybody else has got some Turkish Delight, Hashimoto said he has locum, and that is another name for Turkish Delight, apparently.
He also says that Marge is right. I just want to say that.
He didn't say about what. He just said Marge is right.
Yeah. He said, I like Turkish Delight. Marge is right. And I'm just wanting to.
I don't think there's a right or wrong here. It's either you like it or you don't. Right. So
I don't know about
it's like hearing that I'm right.
Okay,
what are we saying then, Monkey? Which one we got to do first?
First reaction is when I open it up, I've got powdered sugar all over my desk now.
It's everywhere.
I know.
Damn, we've got to do that cocaine story first. I'm suddenly in the mood.
Yeah, really. That might be a good one to start with this. Okay, are we gonna try this stuff now?
Okay, yes, let's have one square, and we'll do it throughout the show as we go between news articles. We'll
what color
try
are you
another
gonna
one.
try to go for first?
I think it's covered in white powder, so I'm going to assume this is the second row down.
Okay, it doesn't make any difference. They're all mixed up in my box. So
Yeah.
What
Oh.
basic color is it? Is it yellow or red or?
It's
green?
red. It's red.
Red. I got the red one right here. Got it.
Okay, let's do it, everybody.
All right,
Are you ready?
This is.
If you're out there in chat or you're listening to the show and you did your homework this week, it's time to take a piece of your Turkish Delight and consume it now. Good luck,
All right,
everybody.
Marge, you got to call it. You tell us to go.
Yes, 3, 2, 1,
Oh,
Marge.
go.
Go.
I already ate one.
Okay, this one's a melon. I don't like melon. It's weird. Ooh.
Fuck.
It tastes like
What's
soap.
wrong?
It tastes like soap.
What's wrong, Marge? What is wrong is nothing is wrong. This is actually some good shit.
What? Yes.
No, I don't like the. Did you?
Fuck.
Is yours the melon one? It's when I've been into it. It's kind of orange colored. Is that what you
Okay,
got?
that was
Mackie?
good. No, I don't know. It was
So, okay, wait.
it's red color.
Is there anything you need to tell me right now, Mackie?
Oh.
Oh, sorry, I went for another one. That one's what's that? Peach.
God, it's so sweet though.
I
It's like-
apologize, Marge. I was incorrect.
Thank you.
This is
I
actually
accept your
Pretty
apology.
good. Oh, it must have been the rose flavored, chocolate covered
good.
stuff, which is absolutely
Rose
foul.
water's terrible.
Because this
Okay,
is
I just
actually
spit
good.
mine out. I can't do the melon. Is just it's too horrible. I cannot do that. I mean, I hate
Okay.
watermelon and honeydew and things like that. And that was like, wow, in your face. And sweet. I'm talking about like 10 spoonful of sugar sweet. Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the recommendation, Marge. That's some good shit. I
No
like that.
problem.
I like that. Another food that Mackie has tried because of the show that he has enjoyed and thought he wouldn't have. How about that?
There you go.
So you're not rolling with it there, Monkey? What are you saying?
And I'm trying a different one, seeing if I can get a better flavor.
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't have any flavor almost at all to it. It's just kind of like, I don't know, it's a jelly kind of a sweet, but I have no idea what this is. I'm not a huge fan because it's really, really sweet and I like tart.
Yeah,
Tart.
it's
Mm.
yeah. Anybody out there, just if you've only tried that purple stuff with covered in chocolate before, and you were like, "That's disgusting," it tastes like soap. I completely understand what you're saying. But if you tried this stuff, the different flavors, not the rose one, that's pretty good, and it's a nice kind of chewy as well. It's like gummies, but they're a little
Yes, the
bit extra
texture.
chewy than what,
Yes,
but
it's
not
great.
as fragile as jelly is. It's like an in between of the two.
I would
It
also
is.
like to highlight a couple of comments in the chat right now.
Okay.
Philly Bowles is saying Marge is right. Trust in Marge. And Logan, I have to agree. And Twisted also came out to say Marge don't tell lies. I would have to say that is also true.
Look at that. Yes. So, as appreciation for
Well
March, everybody hit that
done.
like button. Good show. We will continue to consume these throughout the show. We'll see what, because there's
Nah.
other colors here, but we don't want to just eat them all now, do we?
I just bailed on the second one. I can't do it, man. It's just too sweet. I mean,
Ah,
it's like, I mean, I get to a point to where I can't handle that level of sweetness anymore. Ugh.
Well, you don't need to eat too many.
Well, I mean, I haven't eaten one yet. I keep spitting them out. I'm gonna try all the flavors. I don't know what that one was. It didn't taste much like anything though, but that's just it. I mean, I'm expecting, you say something is lemon or tangerine. I'm expecting a little bit of a sour pop to it, but there's none. It's all sweet. I mean, sweet, sweet, sweet. That's all I'm getting. Anyway, I'll do this later on after we do some news stories.
Yeah, let's do some news, and then we'll come back and we'll try some more Turkish delight. If anybody out there in chat has just had this Turkish delight for the first time and been like, "Oh my god, this is actually quite nice," then let us know.
Or agrees with Monkey that it's a little bit too much.
Yeah. Let us know what you think. But should we move on to the news? I mean, we quickly cover what we're smoking. I got forgotten strawberries, as I do every week. What you got, Monkey? You got something nice?
Sherrygasm today. So,
Sweet.
yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, man. Marge, what are you partaking in there?
I am, but I'm partaking in edibles. I actually have infused Turkish delight.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Marge has gone all in.
Leveling up.
Yes.
I'm very happy right now because I've got I had popped an IPA before the show started, and it's nice to have something to take that sweet out of my mouth. My gosh, how do y'all do that? That is just
Yeah, it's good. I like that. What's wrong with you? Turkish delight's delicious. Get a grip. Jesus.
I never thought I would hear that. I keep saying any of this.
I don't know, man.
That's true. Man, I'm easy to change my mind if I'm wrong. I will say so. That's the way it is.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't do super sweet candies. Like candy floss, forget that. I'm not eating it. It's just it's all sweet. Can't do
So
that.
what next did we try? Well, that's anchovety is next, everybody.
Now,
Anchovety.
that I probably wouldn't mind as much because I like anchovies.
And but a spoonful of it, that might be a bit much.
I don't. Yeah. Well, no.
All right, so let's do it. Let's actually move on to why we're here today and talk about some cannabis news. Let's do it. So as we already mentioned, there is lots to cover today. There was one specific article which we're going to get to first. Can you remember which one we said it was, Monkey?
Well, we talked about fact check going first.
But yeah, that's right. Yeah, the fact checks. That's interesting. Let's do that.
It's a bit long, but it's a good article there. And this article comes to us. I got it through Leafly. You can find it on the internet in many different places. The article is titled "Fact Check: Is Legalization Hurting Teen Mental Health?" I like these articles because we're hearing a lot right now in the United States as we get more and more debate on legalization. A lot more is being said, and I want to get to the bottom of this. Are they actually telling us the truth? So this is what this article is all about. If you read this January 10 Wall Street Journal piece, you might conclude that a wave of cannabis-induced psychosis among teenagers is sweeping across the country. The story highlights research on the correlation between cannabis use and conditions like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. It suggests access to higher potency cannabis is leading to ever-increasing rates of psychosis in teens. I mean, we've heard this, it's people constantly throwing it right back in our face. Cannabis is going to hurt the teens. Well, let's take a look at this a little bit more.
Sorry.
What?
The yellow one's disgusting.
Okay.
No, the yellow one's bad.
It's too sweet. If I put that in my mouth, it's going to draw my mouth up and I won't be able to speak right now. So I'm going to wait till after the story to try the yellow one. I've got it picked out, sitting right here. I looked at it.
Oh, God.
I won't touch it.
That's bad. Sorry. Just that's what let you all know. Damn.
Right. But the actual data points to a different picture. Population studies of over 63 million people show that the rates of psychosis do not go up amid legalization. Teen use rates of cannabis are actually going down. And our best science suggests that genetic factors rather than cannabis use are to blame for the correlation between cannabis and psychosis. Can cannabis really induce lifelong psychotic conditions, or is it yet another example of confusing correlation with causation, a common source of reefer madness? I like these articles when they put it like that. You know, we're going to take a look at it, compare it side by side. Exploring cannabis psychosis links. The research on cannabis and psychosis is nuanced, but it definitely shows a strong correlation as opposed to causation between the two. For instance, the data is clear that the acute cannabis exposure can cause you to see vivid colors or mishear sounds or get anxious. Everybody here who smoked cannabis knows that some cannabis strains make the colors pop a little bit more. And yeah, everybody's experienced paranoia. It happens sometimes with some strains of cannabis. And I think that's all they're talking about. These experiences have been described as transitory, psychosis-like episodes, particularly for occasional users. Now, guys, would you guys consider a little paranoia to be a cannabis psychosis situation? I personally wouldn't.
It depends how deep it goes, I suppose. There's different levels of it. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just consider new users with paranoia. It's kind of like, oh God, I'm doing something that's forbidden. So you get a little nervous. This has always been the way with me. I found that my paranoia completely went away when I went to a legal state. Because
I mean, that makes sense to me, though.
It
That
does.
makes sense. Yeah.
You know, we could be driving down the road in a legal vehicle, like one of these cannabis tours, and there was no fear. You could be smoking in the vehicle, people looking at you, you waving at them. It was fine. There was no paranoia. So I don't think it's the drug. I think it's society that's causing that.
It's
Confusing
definitely a big part
correlation
of
with
it.
causation. Yeah, it is. So it says confusing correlation with causation. With that in mind, it might not be surprising that when teens who use cannabis develop permanent psychotic related conditions, their doctors and loved ones jump to the conclusion that cannabis causes the shift. There are numerous stories of teens who use cannabis that were subsequently diagnosed with those challenging lifelong conditions. Statistically, though, individuals who use cannabis are more likely to have bipolar disorder or schizophrenia than the general population. So that's the correlation there. If you want to look at it statistically, cannabis users are more likely to have those conditions. But why is the question? Scientists have long struggled with the question of whether cannabis use actually causes these conditions or if a third factor drives both. Based upon cases that these conditions emerge after cannabis use, researchers estimate that cannabis-induced psychosis occurs at the rate of 0.27% on consumers. Even that exceptionally rare rate, correlating studies can't prove whether cannabis is the cause of the psychosis or not. 0.27%. Now, I would wonder what kind of psychotic situations, let's say alcohol, cigarettes, or even caffeine might also cause. Would that rate be higher? And that's not in this article.
What is the population? What is the percentage of the population that has psychosis without cannabis? You know, because that's going to be a certain percentage of the population. And then what percentage of those use cannabis? And it's probably, it matches up with the, you know, say, for example, 20% of the general population uses cannabis. And there'll be about 20% of the people who suffer psychosis also using cannabis. You know, that kind of, when you add it up like that, it's really no different than normal. You know what I mean? Like the background statistics.
Yeah, this article does kind of show that, it does mention that the instances of psychosis are higher in cannabis users than cannabis non-users, but they don't say by what percentage. But what they're going to go into now is the cannabis causing that psychosis, or is cannabis use causing the psychosis, or is the cannabis use because of another condition? I can't explain what I'm trying to get into, but you understand what I'm saying. Is it causation or correlation? So there are many ways to interpret the data to associate cannabis with psychosis. For example, individuals with psychotic conditions could be more likely to use cannabis in the first place as a form of self-medication. If this were true, it would result in the same strong correlation. Other correlates, alcohol and tobacco. Cannabis certainly isn't the only factor linked to psychosis, even though it receives more publicity. Studies have found that things correlate with higher risks of psychosis, including the use of any recreational substance like alcohol or tobacco. These substances are used at similar rates by schizophrenic as cannabis and show similar statistical increases in psychotic risk. No one is debating, however, whether we should prohibit these substances. There's your answer, Mackie. Even alcohol and tobacco, your psychotic rates are almost, very similar to cannabis users. So you can't, I like that. When they show me those kind of things, now I can say, okay, cannabis definitely is looking like a better alternative here. Life
Yeah,
stressors.
yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Sorry, this carries on, does it? Yeah, I thought it was, I thought we were done. Sorry, you want to carry on?
No, life stressors. Stress also frequently correlates to psychosis. Stress associated with an event like a teenager leaving home and beginning college can trigger an initial psychotic episode. One review study found that the strongest factors correlated with developing lasting psychotic events include A, living in an urban area, and B, being of an ethnic minority. Since cannabis use is often used to combat stress, it's possible that people who are also stressed out use cannabis to basically self-medicating themselves. I mean, we do it. Everybody does it. Spice, 2K, and designer drugs. And lastly, studies that associate cannabis with psychosis don't specify which specific cannabinoid are at play. For example, businesses like head shops and truck shops sell unlicensed, unregulated, and often illegal synthetic cannabinoids like THCO, THCP, HHC, and those kind of things that can be hundreds of more times powerful than THC alone. And the use of dangerous synthetics like spice prevails in states that lack access to legal botanical THC. Athletic and military THC testing regimes also induce players and service members to seek out novel, dangerous synthetics that won't show up on a drug test. Data suggests that using synthetic cannabinoids can induce more symptoms of a psychotic event than natural cannabinoids. So that right there is pretty interesting. It's saying that cannabis is safer than other materials. I like that. Legalization isn't increasing teen use. Some research also suggests that cannabis use among teenagers in particular has a strong correlation with a subsequent diagnosis of a psychosis-related condition. This could mean that teens are particularly vulnerable to cannabis effects, but it could also point towards the fact that conditions like bipolar disorders and schizophrenia are most commonly identified and diagnosed when patients are in their 20s. While cannabis use usually begins during teenage years, it's possible that individuals with these conditions would be more likely to self-medicate with cannabis. Since this typically occurs before their diagnosis, doctors and scientists would assume that the cannabis caused the psychotic event initially. While many prohibitionists would like any potential for teen psychosis as a reason to limit cannabis legalization, it's important to note that rates of teen cannabis use are going down, not up, as states legalize cannabis. Street dealers do not check IDs, but legitimate dispensaries do. This means that legalization tends to limit teen access rather than increasing it. We have said this over and over and over. Bud tenders do not want to go to jail. They will check your ID, and they're not selling it to you unless you have your ID. So legal dispensaries are more secure than street dealers any day. Also, when you have legal dispensaries, you're also going to be getting a safe product, and you don't know what you're getting off the streets all the time. So, by all means,
if they're saying all this about kids shouldn't get it, so you need to legalize it. Then you need to get it properly controlled. Leaving it illegal leaves it in a worse position. That kids are going to be able to get access to it. If you really want to protect the children, then you need to properly regulate and legalize it.
Exactly. Go after the gray market, the illegal market, legalize it and control it that way. It's a much safer situation like that. Psychosis rates do not increase with cannabis legalization. Fortunately, scientists dig deeper than simple correlative studies. For instance, they look at the rates of psychosis in places where cannabis is more available. If cannabis prevalence causes psychosis, it would follow that as cannabis access increases, we would see things rise. We would see a rise in the rate of psychosis. While legalization does increase rates of other conditions that are directly triggered by cannabis, such as cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, the studies that examine psychosis rates have very mixed results. The Wall Street Journal article mentioned earlier in this study cites a small Danish study that examined data collected from 6,788 people in 11 locations throughout Europe and Brazil. None had access to the tested legal cannabis. While it did find a link between access to high potency cannabis and psychosis, a much larger US study, including 63 million people, found that access to medical or recreational cannabis had no impact on psychosis rates at all. If we were seeing a dramatic wave of teen psychosis in the US, as it suggested in the recent Wall Street Journal piece, that shift would be reflected in this large scale population study.
You know, I'm going to say something really controversial right now.
Was that?
You know, I wish they were looking into the effects of SRI medicines and antidepressants and their effects on children in the same way they are with the cannabis here.
That's a good point.
That would be very fucking useful to people. But anyway, yeah, that can be controversial on YouTube. They'll flag you for that. How dare you speak out about our pharmaceutical friends? Oh my gosh.
Well, this statement here that they're saying about, you know, the psychosis hasn't been going up on scale of the population, that ties in directly to what Dr. Peter Grinspoon said in his last book, that across the generations, across decades, even centuries, there has been no marketed increase in episodes of psychosis, schizophrenia, bipolar. It seems to be a relatively stable situation. You would think that when cannabis came into Canada and got legal and everybody started smoking it, we would see a huge surge in that country. It just hadn't happened. So yeah, they're only doing all of this stuff just to get us, scare us a little bit. Okay.
As they do. That's what the news companies are like now. That's
Yeah.
But this is Leafly. They're not mainstream media, are they?
Now, this is just an article that they picked up. I don't really know who wrote this one, but they picked it up. It was on several other sites as well. They say genetics may drive cannabis use as well as mental health outcomes. Psychosis rates haven't skyrocketed with the recent increase in legal cannabis access. So why do we see any correlation between the two? Beyond the possibilities suggested above, genetics may play a key role. Scientists have found data that points to underlying genes that predispose someone to both psychosis and cannabis use disorder. Doctors diagnose cannabis use disorder when someone is experiencing negative effects from cannabis use, wants to stop using it, but cannot bring themselves to quit despite repeated efforts. Research reviews have found that an individual who has genetic correlated with cannabis use disorder may be more likely to develop schizophrenia, whether or not they actually ever used cannabis. This suggests that genetics rather than cannabis is to blame. One of the best designed studies just came out. In January, researchers published a rare study of more than 4,000 identical twins over time. One twin used weed while the other didn't, and researchers tracked them for 27 years.
Imagine being the twin who isn't allowed to smoke.
Did he tell the truth? Did they test him? You know what I'm saying?
No, you're telling me you can't go around your brother's house and smoke. That's crazy talk. Fucking hell.
Okay. Yeah. On the study, it says we did not predict mental health outcomes. Cannabis consumption did not predict with impaired differences in psychoticism. I can't even say that word. Psychoticism. The researchers concluded. There's a big takeaway here. If you have a family history of mental illness and are increasing your cannabis use, you might want to reevaluate your habits. The data also supports maintaining 21 as a legal appropriate age for cannabis consumption. That's typically towards the back end of when congenital mental illness can crop up in an individual. While more research may shift our understanding of these issues, the current data does not suggest that cannabis use is a strong causal factor for chronic mental illness. Still, given cannabis's ability to cause visual effects and strange thoughts, THC may be best avoided by at-risk patients. At the same time, doctors are actively evaluating whether the cannabinoid CBD can treat mental illness. The article ends up with a very simple statement that I 100% support. It says, always consult with a cannabis specializing doctor before beginning medical use of cannabis to treat your symptoms. Good advice. So basically, they're saying that, they're still lying to us. They're saying, oh, yeah, what about the children? What about the children? The children are doing just fine,
Yeah, they're smoking even less now, too, or consuming even less.
Because it's not cool anymore.
Yeah, it's not taboo.
Oh, that smells like my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
That's grandpa's medicine.
That's right. It's grandpa's medicine. Yeah, it's interesting to see how things change as things are legalized. But this used to be expected. They already saw this in the Netherlands from studies that were done over there, when they were not legalized, but, in the situation they have. Teen use was massively down in the Netherlands compared to the rest of Europe because they had legalized and it wasn't taboo. And kids need to rebel, you know, that's what they do. It's part of growing up, and it's easy to rebel with cannabis. They're easy to get hold of, reasonably safe. You know, it's not like I agree with it. Kids shouldn't be using it, but kids will be kids, you know?
Absolutely. Okay, here I go. Yellow.
Oh, you going for
Ready?
yellow? Oh, the yellow's
Yellow Turkish
fucking
delight.
so bad. It's melon flavor. You're gonna be sick. Don't do it, bro.
No, this one's not melon.
Okay.
It's actually
Oh,
better
like
than
a
the other two I've
citrus?
tried. I don't know what it is. It's yellow. Where's the top of this thing?
But
It's
this
yellow
one,
flavored.
this one must be blueberry I have here because it looks green, but
Green.
it can't be green because I don't have any green. I mean, it might be melon. No, yellow was melon. That was bad. That was bad.
Okay, now I'm getting melons coming through. Now melons popping through. Wow.
Yeah. Oof.
Oh, wow. It's like honeydew.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Yeah.
Wow. I don't like honeydew.
Mm-mm.
Strikeout so far, Mark. I'm still trying, and I haven't given up yet. I'm gonna go through this entire box and find something.
I don't even know what that must have been in blackberry. Oh my god, that's fucking good. Mm-mm.
That's what I'm looking for. Is the purple one?
Mm-mm. In the top row. In the top row is the one I had.
Top row, bottom row. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
We'll find them though. This one's kind of a brownish color. I don't know what that is. This one's bright red. I found no purple, so.
Yeah, but we've got in this article here as well. They're talking about teen mental health, and you know, it's still debatable here whether cannabis is doing anything. But you know what is really fucking with kids' mental health nowadays? Social media, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. You know, this is causing more damage than anything else. So I think, you know, you got to pick the right battles, man. Especially when there's not many resources to be dealing with these things. What you need to be focusing right now is doing something about the access children have to social media, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But
yeah, I mean, back in the day, I can remember they didn't have social media when I was in grade school or anything like that. And at least if you got harassed at school, you could go home at night and kind of get a break from it.
That's right.
You gotta you go home and get harassed even more on social media.
That's right.
You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's no escape from it.
I feel bad for kids these days because of that. You know? It's got to be hard to be growing up these days.
It's never easy.
You
But
know,
let's I've got one. Man, I bought loads in today. I want to do this cocaine one. Check this out, everybody. Coming from Hong Kong. I think that used to be former part of the British Commonwealth back in the day. Cocaine overtakes cannabis as drug of choice among young Hong Kong substance abusers. So yeah, they are obviously consuming a lot of cocaine over there. Higher supply, lower prices helped cocaine gain popularity as city dropped the C word restrictions in 2023. So it's like the lockdown ended and they all just went wild. Just started sniffing everything. Half of the cocaine abusers under 21 and most of 3,406 people arrested for drugs last year used cocaine. And I think this is pretty much because of the legality of it in Hong Kong, you know, and the culture. It's they're a lot more strict with these kind of things. So it's not like you can smoke a spliff and hide it in any way. It's gonna be, you know, everybody around you can smell it. It's pretty obvious. But when you use drugs like cocaine, you know, it's not like it doesn't smell. You know, we discussed this before the show. You know, we all like the smell of cocaine, right? A good smell of it, you know. But let's not go into that. But it doesn't stink out the neighbor's house as well as yours. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's so easy to cover up. It's out of your system really quickly. So if you work, does drug tests, you know, it gets out the system quick. And this is why people are more likely to use it instead of using cannabis. I'm sure if cannabis didn't smell the way it does and is so obvious that you've used it just because of the smell, more people would use it and wouldn't hide it so much. But yeah, I'm just babbling here before I even move on to the article. It's just a short one. We got cocaine replaced cannabis as the drug of choice among young substance abusers in Hong Kong last year, according to the Action Committee Against Narcotics, with an expert warning about the prevalence of hidden sufferers in the community. Michael Luang Si Ki, I don't know how to spell that. That's the best I'm going to do. The unit in charge of the Youth Crime Prevention Center under the Hong Kong Federation of Youth Group said the reality of the scale of the drug abuse problem among youngsters might not be reflected in official numbers. The drug problem among Hong Kong's youth cannot be ignored, as there is still some hidden drug using individuals who have not been identified. So they're seeking them, hunting them down. Facial recognition, social credit score, YouTube flags. Sorry. So cross-sector cooperation and efforts are still necessary to provide appropriate support to the youth in need, he said. In a report released on Wednesday last week, the government advisory body said the number of reported drug abusers under the age of 21 fell from 744 in 2022 to 659 last year. More than half of them abused cocaine. And, you know, just to add here, what is abused cocaine? You know what I mean? Did they really abuse it, or did they use some of it? And, you know, I'm not trying to encourage the use of it or anything, but I don't want to exaggerate how good or how bad it is either side. I just want to try and have an open discussion about cocaine here. And it's like, just because they used it doesn't mean they abused it. That they used it for the purpose they intended to use it for. And as long as nobody was massively detrimentally affected by it, then is it really abused? I don't know. What do you all think in the chat? But anyway, more than half of them abused cocaine, followed by cannabis and ketamine, known locally as K or KJI. That's a K-J-A-I. Sorry, Margie, was you saying something there?
Oh, I was just saying you were wondering how they define abuse, but I was on mute. So.
Oh, right. What do you think?
I don't know. It is an interesting question because, like you said, if you use it once, is that considered abuse? Or are these people using it like every weekend? Because that might be a different matter, I guess.
Yeah, I think the same. You know, if they're like that's abuse when you go out every weekend. You know, there's alcohol abuse as well. Enjoying a beer on a nice hot sunny day during a barbecue isn't the same as drinking 2 bottles of whiskey every night. You know, one of them's abuse and one of them's just using it for the purpose you're supposed to use it for. But yeah, that's my opinion of it. Anyway, where were we with this? Yeah, because then it goes on to overall the total numbers of reported drug abusers of all ages rose from 5,363 in 2022 to 5,500 last year, with heroin the most commonly used, so that's bad, followed by cocaine and methamphetamine, commonly known as ice. Most of the 3,406 drug arrests last year were for offences related to cocaine. Highlighting the dangers, the committee said in its report, cocaine abuse will not only cause physical and mental harm, but will also cost abusers their life savings. Facts, you know, and burden them with enormous debts since they cannot get rid of the addiction to the drug. Committee chairman, Dr. Donald Lee Kwok Tong, said, calm down, Billy, said increased supply was the main reason for cocaine's new popularity. It was not easy to get in the past, he added. He said the overall rise in abusers of all ages reflect changes as Hong Kong returned to normality last year after the COVID-19 pandemic. And the committee had urged relevant government departments to monitor developments closely and keep various anti-drug efforts. Yeah. So there we go. Pretty much, why do you think they are using cocaine more than cannabis? Do you think it's a case of just because of the smell? What do you think? Monkey, what do you think about this? You've been quiet back there.
I don't know. Just there's got to be a reason that they start. It's not cheap. So it can't be cheapness. I mean, the effect is, it's got to be the effect is where they certainly use it. If it's becoming more popular, it's probably because it's cheaper, more and easier and more available now to find in cannabis. That's usually the way it works. You know?
Yeah, I'd be shocked to think, I don't know, if people are using it more than cannabis. But as I say, in that kind of culture, it's a lot more restricted over there, isn't it? You can face long prison sentences for possession of simple drugs.
Yeah,
So
but I mean,
taking the
over
smell
here,
away.
yeah, over here, cannabis is considered to be a minor drug offense. A harder drug like cocaine or heroin will get you more time,
Mm.
bigger penalty like that. Over there, I think we've done articles where some people get put to death for cannabis possession. It's crazy.
Hmm. What do you think,
It
Marge?
is. It's hard to know. I mean, it's hard to know why these trends start to happen. Lower prices, I can't see that driving more people to use cocaine versus cannabis because the prices aren't in line at all. They're two completely different drugs.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
So maybe it's more because maybe it's a post COVID things. More people are out partying and stuff because cocaine's maybe more of a party drug
Hmm.
than cannabis might be. So if they're out at bars or after parties or something like that, because they're talking about younger people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's just things are returning more to normal after,
could
strange
well be
times.
that. Hmm.
So maybe
I get
that's why.
that.
Mm. It's interesting. But, try and avoid those extremely addictive substances, everybody. Cannabis is where you want to be. Try and just stick to that. Everything else can be kind of dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you also don't really know what you're taking when I
Yeah.
mean, we don't know what's in a street vape or whatever. You have no idea what you're snorting if you're doing cocaine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, have
Especially
either one of you
nowadays.
guys ever come across on the street any cannabis that had been altered?
No.
No, but
Once I did once, and I don't know what it was done. We purchased like a quarter, and it
Mhm.
was like the strongest stuff I've ever had, and it just like one hit, and that was the end of it. I'm going like, this is not normal. It was a weird
Wow.
effect. Never bought from the guy again. One of those things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Because I used to think like, oh yeah, no one's like, you used to hear people being like, oh, somebody laced my cannabis with whatever. And I'd always be like, yeah, that's bullshit. Who's doing that? But then I
Uh-huh.
talked to an acquaintance that I knew that was in the military, and he said that it wasn't so much that people were lacing it on purpose. It was that it was cross-contamination. Some of these people
Ah,
who are handling cannabis might also be handling other drugs,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not exactly like, meticulous in their workspaces, so there could be cross-contamination.
right. It could even be
Well,
shipped in the
that
same shipment and have cross contamination
right.
that way.
I was
Yeah.
like, it's sitting on the table next to a pile of something else or whatever. You don't know. And then I was like, well, that makes sense.
So
I
you
don't
could
think
end up
people aren't doing
you
it on purpose, but
you could end up with traces of fentanyl just on cross contamination situation. Then
exactly, yeah.
okay.
Depending on who the dealer is and who's handling the stuff, which is
Yeah.
another reason why it's best to grow your own or
Mm-hmm.
purchase from a
Absolutely.
reputable source.
Yeah, I think that kind of highlights what we always say. The best and safest way to do it is either buy it from a legal dispensary that's been tested or grow it yourself because you never
Mm-hmm.
know.
That's
Right.
right, then.
Yeah.
All sorts of nasty shit out there.
Yeah, man.
And when they run in illegal business, then they don't really care about the consequences because they're on. They're already dealing with. If they're caught, anyway, they're going to jail. So they don't fucking care if it's dodgy shit or not, do they?
Right.
No, they're just trying to make it more desirable by lacing it or popping it with something like that. So you'll come back to them, or like Marta says, maybe
Mm-hmm.
cross contamination, something like that. Who knows? But they really don't care about the consumer as long as they have your money.
Right.
Mark, do you want to take a look at
Strange.
this anesthesiologist news article there?
Yes. Let me
This,
just pull
this
that
is an
up.
important one, so I think you're the most professional, so you should probably talk about this one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I just also want to mention, I saw it earlier. Somebody in the chat asked if I had ever tried or if I would consider trying making Turkish delight with different infused Turkish delight with different strains or something to that effect.
All right.
And my answer to that before I get into the article is no, because I tried making Turkish delight once and it was a miserable failure. So I'll leave it to the professionals.
Well, you've
It
got to
did not.
try it again. Of course, it's going to fail the first time,
Well, I've heard that it's pretty tricky to make. I have
which is
had
even more reason to do it.
Yeah, I guess so, but
Yeah, or you just go back to baking boring cookies. Easy to make, right?
yeah, but I know the boring cookies work every
Yeah.
time.
You can do it,
So
Marge.
there's
You can
that.
do it. Go on, everybody. Tell Marge you can do it. Get in the chat there and be like, "You can do it, Marge. Let's see that Turkish delight."
All right,
Uh,
that was the fourth piece I just spit out. I can't do this stuff. I just cannot do it. I was like, surely I'm going to find one I like the taste of it. No, I haven't found a single one yet. Ah,
well, keep
okay,
trying. And
Yeah, keep trying.
why
torturing
patients
me.
need to come clean about cannabis to their anesthesiologist. If they don't, things could get complicated. And this was written
Mhm.
by Dr. Max Max Feinstein, MD. So
Thought it was going to be Avril Lavigne, you know.
no, this is an actual medical professional, so maybe we should pay attention. So this is actually a transcript that's written here.
Yeah, I noticed
So
that. It's a bit strange, isn't it? It's more
well,
like a
there's a video in
conversation. Yeah.
here, so I think it's a transcript of the video, but
Okay.
so Feinstein starts out by saying if there's one person who you should definitely not lie to about any drug use, it's your anesthesiologist. My name is Dr. Max Feinstein, or Max, I keep throwing in doctor. My name is Max Feinstein, and I'm an anesthesiologist filming here at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. In this video, I describe the anesthesiologist's considerations for patients who consume marijuana. If you find this video interesting or helpful, I appreciate if you like it, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. This video does not contain medical advice. It's just a YouTube video. But if you need medical advice, he says you should talk to your doctor. And he estimates that there's about 15% of the population in the US that use cannabis. That's about 25 million people. So that's a lot. So the news anchor he's talking to says, okay, I'm going to skip that part, but Feinstein goes on. And so that means as an
You want me to read news
anesthesiologist,
anchor? Should I be the news anchor?
doing a little role play here.
That'll be,
Yeah.
yeah, do it. Go for it.
I can't do like I'd want to do like a 1940s New York kind of accent. It's about time, see? 420 on the foot.
All right, Mr. Gangster.
You know what I mean? Where's my Tommy gone, boys? It's about that time, 420 here on 420. We're going to head back to Hippie Hill in San Francisco's Golden Gate Park for the main event, as we call it. Christine Coughton there right now, and folks getting things fired up. I'm so bad at reading what people say. That's terrible. It's like reading a script. Jesus. But
That
yeah.
wasn't much of an intro from the news anchor, but Feinstein continues. And so that means that an anesthesiologist is virtually guaranteed to encounter patients who use marijuana. Worldwide, it's estimated that about 200 million people use cannabis, so the same concept applies for anesthesiologists across the globe. For cannabis, as with any other drug, anesthesiologists are concerned about the effect that the drug has on the patient's mind and also their body, and the perioperative period, meaning before, during, and after surgery. Many of the effects of cannabis are well studied, and the extent of those effects is really dependent on whether the cannabis use is acute or chronic. No pun intended, sorry. As far as the brain or central nervous as far as the brain or central nervous system is concerned, cannabis is known to have cross tolerance with opioid receptors, meaning that patients may have an increased opioid requirement. It's also been shown that patients who are regular cannabis users have a higher requirement for midazolam, which is a short-acting benzodiazepine in cases with sedation. I don't know how to say these drugs. Midazolam is also frequently given to help patients feel relaxed before surgery. This is the medication that makes up the anesthesia cocktail that people sometimes reference. There are also documented effects that cannabis has on the heart, namely both acute and chronic use can lead to a higher baseline heart rate. There are also a number of arrhythmias that have been associated with cannabis use that include atrial fibrillation, ventricular tachycardia, and ventricular fibrillation, and AV block, to name a few.
Damn, well done, Marge. Well done.
Thank you. Should have been a doctor. The presence
Or at
of
least an
arrhythmia-
anesthesiologist. You know?
Right, yeah. The presence of an arrhythmia might be a reason that an anesthesiologist would delay a surgery for further workup and treatment, or proceed to surgery with special precautions like electrodes to deliver a shock if needed. It's also been documented the risk of a myocardial infarction is approximately 8 times higher in patients who have used cannabis within the last 60 minutes. When cannabis is inhaled, it can also have effects on the patient's airway, namely whether it's smoked or vaped. Cannabis can lead to an increased irritation through the airway. This can be associated with a number of complications, including airway edema, obstruction, bronchospasm, bronchitis, and emphysema. There are also hematologic considerations or blood considerations for patients who use cannabis and also take the medication warfarin. Warfarin? Warfarin?
Warfram.
It's like
Is
aspirin or something, right?
it's a powerful blood thinner that is
Mhm.
sometimes prescribed for people who have heart valve replacements, clotting disorders, or a heart rhythm called atrial fibrillation. It's also the main ingredient used in rat poison, which is why
Well, things just got dark.
but that's neither here nor there, he says. Warfarin is a blood thinner that is metabolized through an enzyme made in the liver. That enzyme is called CYP3A4. Cannabis has the effect of inhibiting that enzyme activity, meaning that there is less metabolism of warfarin, meaning that more is present in a patient's blood, which means that a patient could be more prone to bleeding during surgery.
Wow.
As I already alluded to, cannabis does alter some of the enzymes in a patient's liver that are responsible for metabolism medications. This is actually a very long list of medications whose metabolism is altered by cannabis. That includes warfarin, clopidogrel, non-steroidal NSAIDs, which is non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, which I think is pretty much like your Tylenol and whatnot. Immunosuppressants, fentanyl, oxycodone, codeine, and steroids. What else does he say here? Because it still goes on.
Yeah, it goes on for a while. Well, not too much longer.
Well, no, not too much longer. It talks about that. In a kind of funny titled study about the effect of cannabis has on patients and their post-operative pain, it was found that patients who regularly use cannabis have significantly higher post-operative pain scores as compared to the patients who don't use cannabis. This probably has to do with the fact that many of the medications that are given for pain control are actually metabolized by enzymes that are interfered with by cannabis. I can say from experience as an anesthesiologist that patients who I've taken care of who are regular users of cannabis do indeed tend to have higher requirements for pain control in post-operative periods. In order to best take care of patients who do use cannabis regularly, there are some recommendations that have been published in literature. As for the amount of time to stop cannabis prior to surgery, there is a recommendation for at least 72 hours to have elapsed. For patients who are acutely intoxicated with cannabis, there's also a recommendation to consider postponing surgery if it's an elective surgery and not something that's urgent or emergent. So basically, I guess they're saying it has a pretty big effect and you should never lie about that to your anesthesiologist if you're about to go under because they need to know all the facts.
Yeah, that's right, man. It's just you can't be too safe with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah,
about
'cause
that.
going under,
Sorry, Marge.
let's say going under is a pretty big deal. I mean, we're so used to it, but people die on that table just from the anesthesiology.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened to Frenchy Cannoli, R.I.P. You know, he went in for an operation and didn't wake up again.
Right.
Bad thing.
Fucking lame.
You lost a valuable member that day. Crazy.
You know, you just always got to be open with these guys, the anesthesiologists. They like study for a long time at medical school just to know how these different things are going to affect the body in different ways, and it is why dentistry takes so long to study, because you have to get a good understanding of the anesthetics, and it takes like loads of time just for that. Never mind the teeth. So it's important, man. These guys need to know all the inputs, all the different factors, because it could fuck you up. Sorry, Marge.
Right. No, it's obviously super complicated. There's a ton of things to consider as he's just outlining.
While I don't know the laws in other countries, I can say that in the United States, at least, when you discuss something like your cannabis use with a medical professional, that is between you and your medical professional and cannot be repeated. So even if you're not a legal cannabis medical user, still tell your doctor, because he is not allowed to call law enforcement just because you told him to use cannabis. That's illegal in this country.
Right. And I would assume too with an anesthesiologist, he's not he or she is not going to care. They are just hoping that you will be honest with them about anything that might affect, whether it's cannabis or anything else that might
There's no
affect
question,
his
no
ability.
question. I would definitely bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they will ask you too, but
Be honest, people,
yeah.
You have to. It's pretty much life and death in those kind of situations.
Yeah, it could be literally.
Don't
life
fuck
and
around,
death.
man. Don't fuck around.
Yeah,
you know?
that's not a fuck around and find out kind of scenario.
Mhm.
Not at all.
So I've got one here from the UK, just a short one, which I found funny. I'm not even going to read all of it because, I'm not good at telling jokes. Top crime boss jailed for running cannabis farms in Scotland. You're like, oh my God, there must have been some fucking, some Pablo Escobar of weed up here in Scotland. Oh my God, top crime boss, everybody. So, and this is the sub-headline here. It's ILLIR. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. Apologies. You know what I'm like. Ilia Casa 52 was said to be a senior member of an organized crime group. He was arrested following raids in Glasgow and Harthill, North Lanarkshire. Fucking hell. I don't know where that place is. This top crime boss is hidden in this small place in the UK. No, not like Dubai or anything you would expect. Here he is on the screen, everybody. I'll show you so you can see him. Here he is. Look at him. Look at him, a top crime boss. With all his gold teeth and
he looks suspect.
facial tattoos. Jesus.
Telling you. Have you seen this man?
Have you seen this man? Yeah, but he's locked up now. Well, let's learn a little bit more about this top crime boss. He was the 5th richest man in the world. No, he wasn't, everybody. I'm exaggerating. A top crime boss was caught running 2 cannabis farms in Scotland, has been jailed for 8 years. 8 fucking years, man. Damn. So, Ila Casa, it's only with one L this time, 52, was said to be a senior member of an organised crime group. The Albanian national. Didn't see that coming. Was arrested. Albanian? What was he doing here? The Albanian national was arrested following an investigation by the National Crime Agency and Police Scotland. Oh, how unprofessional was that? How unprofessional was that? Excuse me. Fucking
Considering the article, I think it's pretty timely.
bad phone. Terrible.
Sounds like a burner phone back there. I don't know.
Is that how cheap my phone is? Huh? Just a mild burner. Now, that doesn't sound like an Apple phone. It must be a burner.
Ooh.
Yeah, so the Albanian national was arrested following an investigation by the National Crime Agency and Police Scotland. In April 20... I always say police like that. Because just a quick random tangent, because they are no longer like peace officers like they were supposed to be back in the day. Police officers. They're policy enforcers now. They enforce policy that is sent down to them from a crooked government, and they follow the rules regardless. They're not there to keep the peace. They're there to make sure that we pay the fines and do as the government tell us. But yeah, random tangent. Police. Policy enforcers. In April 2022, he was spotted by officers from the Joint Organised Crime Partnership attending 2 properties, one in Glasgow and another in Harthill, North Lanarkshire. When officers raided the Glasgow property, a former bank of Great Western Road, so it must have been a bank back in the day and converted it into a grow up, they found more than 350 cannabis plants. Dun, dun, dun. And sophisticated systems for planting, growing, and irrigation. Dun, dun, dun. So yeah, fucking.
He had a grow tent and lights and timer, yeah.
Yeah, I mean 350 plants, and it's like how many of those are going to be cuttings, how many are going to be seedlings? And yeah, sure, it's a lot of plants, but like we reported last week, there's a guy who's running a completely legal company where he's going to be able to grow loads of cannabis in a nice green manner. It's
like 10,000 plants. So, what's 350 compared to 10,000?
Are we allowed to do it, or are we not allowed to do it? And if we are allowed to do it, why can't we all get the licenses to be able to do it? Simple as that. There's a 2-tier system, maybe even 3-tier system here in the UK. Anyway, a similar setup and a further 150 plants were discovered at the Harthill site on West Main Street. NCA experts valued the combined haul of the cannabis at more than £300,000. It's not even enough for a fucking house. You know, it's not a lot of money nowadays in the UK, that isn't. Casa left the country following the raids, but was arrested in Steps, North Lanarkshire, 2 months later in July 2022 when he returned to Scotland. Michael Miller, NCA brand operations manager, said Casa was a senior member of an organised crime group responsible for running cannabis farms in locations across the central belt of Scotland, meaning those 2 locations which they mentioned. You know, because if they had more locations, they would have said, wouldn't they? They're not going to just mention these 2 small farms and not mention any others that they found. They've only mentioned 2, so they're just exaggerating here, saying the central belt of Scotland. Like, fuck off. Jesus Christ. His was a lucrative business. Yeah, we know, because there's that guy opening up that massive farm to make loads of money legally doing it. The plants were recovered would have generated hundreds of thousands of pounds of profit for his criminal group, which no doubt would have been reinvested in further criminality. So, you know, I don't want to rant here, everybody, but legalize it. So instead of it going to criminals, it can go to actual legitimate companies that will pay tax in the UK. Oh, but you don't like companies paying tax in the UK, do you? No, you got to find all the single moms. Yeah, fuck you, government. Sorry, I'm getting wound up. It rages me so much because it's not like this guy is doing good. I don't support his actions. I don't support him coming here to the UK to just grow cannabis and increase gang activity. I don't support that. But I think he has every right to come over here and start a legitimate business and contribute towards the society by paying taxes. It's not his fault that he's not allowed to do that. And it's none of our fault that we can't do it either. It's the government who are fucking with us all. If he wants to open up a cannabis farm and grow a shitload of cannabis and distribute it to people, he should be allowed to do that as long as he's got the proper licensing to do so. And I do think there should be licensing because you want all this shit to be checked to make sure that it's safe before it goes out to the consumer. That would be the benefits of legalizing it, but they don't want it that way, do they? They want to just minimize who can get into the market so it's just available for their friends. Judge Susan Craig described the cannabis production as a commercial and sophisticated operation, but anybody who doesn't grow cannabis would think that any grow room looks like a sophisticated operation. It probably wasn't that sophisticated. The judge added, there is no suggestion that you were coerced or pressurized into being involved, and the various CCTV recordings showing you procuring items for the cannabis farm, you appeared to be taking an informed and active role. You know, he's just there on the CCTV, smiling his face, skipping down the road with some DWC gear. Yeah, I got my hair stones. Oh, buzzing. You know, it's Jesus Christ, man. It's just ridiculous. You know, so I thought I'd bring this one out just because of the ridiculous language they're using. Top crime boss, everybody, for 2 reasonably small grows. I mean, for me, I wouldn't be growing this much. That's far too many plants. I'm a personal grower. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, when I do a Google search, I've said many times, when I do a Google search for news stories before this show, it would just be bust after bust after bust after bust. And this is a small one, which I've seen on today's list, never mind over the last year. You know, it's a tiny grow in comparison to everything else that's going on out there. Sorry, Monkey, you were saying.
I said I saw in my newsfeed crossed up that there, you may have seen this, when there was a premium league footballer who owns property that had been growing weed in, and he got off because he claimed he never knew anything about it. And the house sitter that was in the house, or something to the effect of, the house sitter said they were forced by an armed gang to let them grow in there, and the person was forced to live in the middle of the cannabis jungle while it was growing. I said, this all sounds like so much bullshit.
You know,
no, I didn't know anything about it. No,
yeah,
really?
We better stop talking about that before we get sued, man. Them footballers are rich. Yeah, he's obviously telling the truth. He's obviously telling the truth. He wouldn't be involved in that in any way whatsoever. Yes. Next.
Hey,
I mean, come on, man.
Names,
fucking
man.
no. I mean, OJ got away with it. Come on, man. And
I didn't name any names with him. It just kind of seemed weird, though. A pro ball player getting away with it. Like, oh yeah, he's important. Let him do it. You know, don't worry about him. Oh yeah, we believe you.
So what do we have next? We still got a few articles to get to here. We're leaving the Germany one till the end. We'll cover that last. You want to do another one there, Monkey? I mean, you've got a,
Let's
you got
go.
a
I
story
got
there.
a veteran story here. Let's go with this one.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Okay, it says veterans group join calls for Biden administration to reschedule cannabis. Now, we have had covered articles recently where we've had governors and different lawmakers and other people, but now we have veterans groups who are saying like this, we need to do this. Okay, Washington, some of the nation's largest veterans groups are pushing the Biden administration to expeditiously ease federal restrictions on cannabis, joining a growing number of calls to reschedule the drug 6 months after the Department of Health and Human Services recommended to do so. In a letter first obtained by NBC News, Veterans Group urged the Justice Department, which oversees the Drug Enforcement Agency, to act quickly. The men and women.
Oh, sorry. You said DEA. You know what that means, everybody?
Drug Enforcement Agency.
Boo. There we go. Yeah, just
I don't even
gotta
want to
add
say
the
the
boost
name.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Monkey. Sorry.
The men and women who served the United States Armed Forces often face difficult physical and mental challenges upon returning home, the group wrote, which includes the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, AMVETS, American GI Forum, and American Legion, Blinded Veterans Association, and Minority Veterans of America. As such, we hope that the treating of these wounds of war, both visible and invisible, that our service members and veterans would have access to the widest array of possible treatments. Cannabis is currently classified as a Schedule I drug, which means it has a high potential for abuse and no accepted medical use and treatment, alongside substances like heroin. The Department of Health and Human Services has recommended rescheduling it to Schedule III, which is far less restrictive. President Joe Biden ordered a review of the federal cannabis policy in October 2022, and a formal decision from the DEA is expected soon, potentially in the coming weeks, according to two people with knowledge of plans. Though the Department of Veteran Affairs is prohibited from denying health services to veterans who use cannabis in states where it's legal, the agency does not offer medical cannabis as a treatment for veterans or pay for medical cannabis prescriptions of any source, even in more than 40 states where cannabis is legal in some form. Last summer, the VA and the Defense Department released a joint recommendation against the use of cannabis for the treatment of PTSD. Why would
Joint
they do that?
recommendation.
Exactly.
Just saying.
Okay, wow. Now you got me laughing. But
I'm just
the
smoking in the
veterans-
background, looking at more Turkish delight. You're gonna hit another one of those in a second.
But the veterans group wrote that their members want the option, citing a survey conducted by the American Legion, in which 82% of the respondents say they want medical cannabis as freely legal treatment options. The
There's
group said
federally legal treatment options there.
Oh, okay, yeah. The group said that without the ruling from the DEA, many veterans remain uncomfortable discussing cannabis use with their VA providers due to the fear of retribution. We understand that administrative scheduling process involves several steps, but the sooner the DEA moves forward with the reclassification of cannabis, the sooner it could potentially be integrated into the Veterans Administration, our nation's largest healthcare system, he wrote. The letter follows increasing momentum in Congress to adjust federal cannabis policy. Lawmakers in both chambers and both parties introduced a slew of bills related to veterans and cannabis over the last year, including legislation that would allow the VA doctors to recommend medical cannabis to patients in states where it's legal, and a separate bill that would mandate that the VA studies various effects of cannabis on veterans with chronic pain and PTSD. A major bipartisan package passed out of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, chaired by Senator John Tesser, the Democrat of Montana, last year, but was ultimately blocked by the Republicans on the floor. Happens a lot. Voters increasingly favor legalizing cannabis. A Gallup poll conducted in October found that 70% of American adults support legalization, an all-time high, including 55% of Republicans and more than 2/3 of voters under the age of 55. Last month, a group of Democrats, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York, sent a letter to the DEA urging it to deschedule cannabis altogether, highlighting a window of opportunity that has not existed for decades for the Biden administration to do so.
So when Chuck Schumer says to deschedule cannabis altogether, that means not Schedule 3, just completely take it off, not
Make
schedule.
it like basically turn it into alcohol.
Nice. That would be the best option, because I've seen there's a lot of concern about making it Schedule 3. Because then it's just only got to be available to like the pharmaceutical companies and shit.
Yeah, that is a big concern on it like that. But like I've said, I know how this country works. I've watched the states that did go legal. They all went medical first before they went recreational. And I just knew that the government wasn't going to give us all to us at one time. I just had a feeling this was going to happen, especially when polled, you find that more senators and representatives in Washington are in favor of rescheduling and far fewer are in favor of completely descheduling. So baby steps, unfortunately, but baby steps are going to
So
have
do you
to be
think the
taken.
Fed are likely to legalize medically first, and then a few years later,
Oh, yeah.
legalize? So that you expect the federal government, like, because you have the federal law, don't you? You expect that to change in stages as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'm seeing. I mean, I've lived long enough to watch various drugs go from prescription drugs to over-the-counter drugs. I can remember a time when you couldn't even buy Tylenol, acetaminophen, over the counter. It had to be gotten through a doctor's prescription, and now you can buy
Really?
it at Walmart or grocery stores, anywhere. But there was a time when it wasn't available that way, and I think, man, this is a big thing out there. But I believe that eventually cannabis is going to go that route. That after the federal government does their thing and does all their tests that they want to do on it like that, I think eventually it's going to be basically looked at and say, you know what, this is just no way that we need to control this stuff anymore. Turn it over to the business. It could turn into big business, recreational, and things such as that. I don't know. It's crazy, man. I just it needs to happen now. We're not going
They're
to do it
getting
right now.
pressure from a lot of groups too. I mean, the veteran groups and the health
Yeah.
group, and I forget who else, but we've done a few articles on this where they're all pressuring
Yeah.
to have it
And
descheduled and rescheduled.
we have such a divided house right now in the government here. It's like, well, Republicans controlling this, Democrats controlling that, the president's doing this, and there are too many people holding cannabis hostage right now, is the way it is. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Until we finally decide to sit down and look at this thing logically, but everybody has something that I believe Mackie is correct that some people are holding out because of the money parts of it. And I think there are some people that are still in reefer madness denial. It's
All about the money.
a lot of it is all about the money. And I have a news flash. I've actually found a Turkish delight that I actually finished one. Didn't
Ah,
spend
sweet.
Ooh.
Which one was it?
Ooh.
the tangerine. While it's still
Okay.
extremely sweet, it wasn't over the top sweet like the other ones.
Man, I didn't get a tangerine one yet. I'm gonna have to hunt for that in a second.
The
But I
peach
want to get
wasn't
to.
bad, but a little bit flowery taste in the
Oh,
peach
speaking
one.
of peach, I've been seeing kiffer on the shelves here in the UK recently, and me and my boy have been trying it. We got the blue one first, which is just normal bland kiffer, and it was okay. It was okay. You know, and then a couple of days later, we saw a red one. I was like, oh, let's try this one. It might be better than the blue one. It's probably better than the blue one. But
What is it that you're eating?
it's like it's a drink. It's like a milkshake. It's like a yogurt. It's like milk that's
Yeah.
gone a little bit bad.
Oh,
It's cultured milk. Cultured milk.
Keeper. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'd say
Kefir,
right.
yeah. I say
Kefir,
kiffer because I'm
kefir.
Because he's
uncultured.
British.
Because I'm uncultured.
Right.
Yeah,
I know what he
Yeah.
meant.
I like that stuff too, though. Actually, it's
yeah,
really
it's
good.
good. It's good as long as you get the right flavor. Because then we got the red
Right.
one, which was strawberry flavor, and it was
And that was-
fizzy. It was weird as fuck.
Oh.
This shit was as if it was carbonated.
Oh,
Yeah, like
that's
fizzy
interesting
milk.
because
Weird.
It is tart. Like it's like unlike milk or whatever.
Yeah. But then we found the
be very
peach
different.
flavor one. And man, the peach flavor one is good. I could drink a whole bottle of that. That's some good shit. But yeah, kefir, everybody, check it out. It's
And
good for you.
And it's
Yeah.
even good for your grow because if
That's
you make
right.
your own kefir, you can use the whey and
Mhm.
inoculate your water with the whey and bring lactobacillus into your grow and many different strains.
Yeah, loads of it. So yeah, check out the Coots episode for that because he explains it all. The Clackamas Coot, and he explains how to make proper kefir and all that shit. Very cool.
Yeah,
I'll
we've
read
got
this
some
news
guys
article. Sorry, Monkey.
I said we've got some guys on Discord that have been using it and raving about the results with it. So yeah, by all means, give it a shot.
Bacteria is good for your plants, everybody.
Yes.
So just a quick one here from the UK, and just because of the numbers are a bit shit, I think. We have 42 arrests, £20,000 in cash, 17 kilograms of drugs seized, and 2 replica firearms recovered from Operation AVRO returned to Rochdale. So it's a long title there, everybody, but 42 arrests with 20,000 cash. I mean, what's that, £500 each? It's just minor raids, isn't it? It's 17 kilos over 42 people. Again, it's what, fucking 400 grams each or something? I don't even know. I'm not going to do the maths at this time of night. But it's not a lot, is it? Come on, man. Come on, man.
20,000 pounds now.
Yeah, it used to be a lot of money, but it's not anymore. All right, because inflation and everything, We have Rochdale was a hive of activity yesterday, Thursday, the 22nd of February, as Operation AVRO returned to the area once again for a proactive day of action, which saw some fantastic results across the 24 hours. Doesn't that make them sound so cool? 14 warrants were executed throughout the day, with 42 people arrested for a range of criminal offences. 20,000 in cash was also seized, which is suspected to be from the proceeds of crime, as well as 2 replica firearms. Yeah, I wonder if that cash was just cash lying around or whether it was the proceeds of crime. The huge amount of money that is. AVRO is a force-wide initiative that delivers a surge of extra resources and specialist officers to a different district within Greater Manchester each month. The day saw GMP, that's Greater Manchester Police, engage in a number of activities throughout proactive police work, tackling the issues which matter most to the community. Now, I disagree there because the issues, and I've said this loads of times on the show, man, it sounds like a broken record sometimes, but the issues that the community are concerned about is their fucking children getting stabbed on the streets, man. That's what needs to be fixed. Don't be chasing people down for fucking little bits of weed and cash. Go and hunt the people because it goes unsolved so many times. Nobody gets prosecuted so many times. I told you about that kid who was stabbed in the fucking head, and them kids had to just write an apology letter and shit. It's like, they're just going after the wrong things, man. Nobody's concerned about a little bit of weed on the streets. And we're concerned about gang culture. Of course, everybody is. But damn, man, I don't understand why they put so many resources in. And as they say, they've done this before. So obviously whatever they did before didn't work, to have to come back and do it again a second time. And they'll be back again a third time to do it. They're going to do this every month. What exactly do they think they're fixing? It's ridiculous, man. It just seems like a terrible strategy, a waste of resources, a waste of time. They could be doing far more important things than just making, which I consider small busts on the grand scheme of things. I mean, there's guys out there with 350 plants,
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if they've been following the war on drugs, they should know by now it doesn't work. As soon as you arrest this guy, somebody else comes right behind him to fill that void. So, I mean,
yeah, because how long ago did the war on drugs start? Like, wasn't that the 80s?
50 years, yeah, 50 years.
I think that maybe they'd make a dent in it by now if it was really going to work, but obviously
they don't care. It's an ongoing war.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Perpetual warfare. That's all they want, in one way or another. Early morning warrants took place at the address on Mornington Road, Gladstone Crescent and Church Lane, with 16 arrests being made for multiple offences such as drug supply, cultivation of cannabis and possession of a firearm, all before 9 a.m. 4 cannabis farms were found and dismantled, alongside a number of Class A and Class B drugs being seized, from the final number coming to 17 kilograms of drugs taken off the streets. Rochdale's neighbourhood team and partnership with Trading Standard. Sorry, Marge, did you say something?
No, I was just getting out a piece of Turkish delay.
And he was like, this is delicious.
Caught me.
Oh no, is my mic on? But in partnership with Trading Standards, conducted several premises visits to check for illegal vapes and cigarettes. So they were even looking at those. 10,000 illicit cigarettes were seized in the process of these warrants. So is that gonna count towards the 17 kilograms of drugs?
Don't know.
You know what I mean?
Technically, nicotine is a drug.
Yeah, it was probably added. It was probably added. So they've turned this into something that were going on there, busting drugs, taking Class A's off the streets, a couple of weapons here and there, but it's probably just a lot of people selling mostly bootleg cigarettes and vapes.
What I didn't understand in the early writing of the article is it referenced replica or reproduction firearms. What is that? I mean, is it like a fake one or is it a real
fake one? Just one which looks like it would
Yeah.
shoot, but it doesn't. The barrel's blocked and shit
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
I'm looking at the picture of it there, and it looks not really so much like a toy, but it doesn't look real.
Yeah, but if
No,
you,
it looks like
a
the
lot of people
paint
in the UK have
came off.
never seen a gun, so if they see
Right.
something that looks like one they don't know, they're like, "Hold on for a second, why is that revolver got a magazine clip?" Was it? You know, they ain't
It
gonna
looks
know what the
real
fuck's
enough
going on.
though. Like if it was dark or something,
Yeah.
you know, someone's waving that thing around and everyone's afraid, you're gonna think it's real. But
Yeah.
Okay.
Clash
this
Cornolio in the chat here says, of course the 10k SIGs will be part of the 17 kilograms. Gotta feed the propaganda machine to justify the useless expenses. 100% agree. Little 100% emoji on your comment there, mate. You know which one I mean, everybody. 100. But damn, true story. Yeah, of course it's added. It would be foolish for them not to. Damn. So now, how much does 10,000 cigarettes weigh? Anyway, partnership with GMP's Roads Policing Unit. I mean, yeah, this is just the end of the article, really, here. But there we go. Yeah, just loads of little busts all over the UK, just going after the small guys, man. And I suppose they're going after the big guys as well, but not the really big ones. You know, the guys with the licenses from their government friends because they're allowed to do it. Jesus. It's just like the government friends who are now growing the cannabis. It's like they have this private security firm all over the country going out and smashing up any competition that starts up. That's how I see it. I mean, that's what it looks like in my head. It's like, no, you can't compete with him. He's our friend. Quick, smash up his smash up his establishment there. Do you know what I mean? Does it just seem so fucked? It's not cool, man. You know, it's either illegal to grow or it isn't. You know, and if it isn't, then you need to be able to give everybody the ability to be growing their own if they want to. It's only fair. Society should be running on fairness. And if you want to be fair, either nobody can do it or everybody needs access to the ability to do it. One day, the government might listen to this show and be like, "Oh, these guys make sense. We should just do what they say." And then,
we should elect them. Yeah, we should elect these guys leader of the free world. Yeah.
yes,
Sure.
they should be world government now. They solve so many problems.
That's right.
Jesus. And you know how long it took us to solve it all? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, because why not? So we have one more here. You want to quickly cover this one, Monkey, before Marge does the Germany one?
Sure. Let me get this Turkish delight
It's
out of
the,
my mouth so I can try to speak with it. But yeah, that one wasn't too bad. The tangerine, I'll tolerate that one. Okay.
Yes.
This story come to us via New York. City could get new power to close illegal cannabis shops. Community advocates are fed up with the proliferation of business peddling cannabis illegally in their neighborhoods. They say these stores are too close to schools and religious institutions. Okay, Assemblywoman Jennifer and oh my gosh, Raj Kumar of Queens invited them to a rally.
Nice.
City
That
Hall.
was successful. If it was Duolingo, it would have lit up green and said, "Well
Okay.
done." That was good.
That's fun. Okay. Invited him to a rally in the city hall in support of her bill that says she would finally, once and for all, snuff these businesses out for good. It comes after so many legislative and enforcement efforts have fallen short, leaving the 75 legal dispensaries throughout the state to do business alongside of thousands of illegal ones. Am I high right now? The situation makes no sense, but we can fix it, Raj Kumar said. Raj Kumar called it the Smokeout Act, which states that municipalities would have the authority to order an immediate closure of any business selling illegal cannabis or untaxed cigarettes, as well as to seize their merchandise. So we're going after cigarettes too. The 2021 cannabis law vested the state with the authority to close down the shops So what is currently happening is the city of New York can fine the shops, but then the shop pays the fine and opens right back up, Rich Kumar said. The state Senate sponsored Leroy Cormery of Queens said that the Office of Cannabis Management can't handle the job. The OCM obtained court orders to padlock only 9 illegal cannabis shops in the entire state. The Office of Cannabis Management doesn't have the ability to shut these places down. They don't have the manpower, Cormery said. They can't amp up the manpower within a year to even try to address the scourge of these. Cormery said he wants the law in the budget. I want it the budget as is, not watered down in the language, because we need to shut down this right now, she said. In the meantime, state authorities are continuing to fine illegal cannabis shops, $25 million worth of penalties, but only $22,500 have been collected.
That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
Jesus.
That's 1/1000th has been collected. There you go, guys. That's nothing.
Wow.
According to Governor Kathy Hochul, maybe Hochul. Governor Kathy Hochul said a set of her own policies she's pursuing in her budget proposals to close more of these shops, like streamlining the process of the Office of Cannabis Management to padlock the shops and have local government executes OCM padlock orders. Her budget proposal is the most effective way of expediting closures, deterring future unlawful activity, and prioritizing the hardworking small business owners operating legally within our state. So New York is now going to try to get the power to close down illegal cannabis shops. And Mackie, you and I were talking before the show thinking like, wow, this is weird. They don't have the power now?
Yeah.
It seems
it's like,
odd,
that's an illegal shop. Get the fuck out. You're not moving. Oh, police going or did they defund the police in New York?
No, the police haven't
flags,
been defunded
flags.
anywhere.
So
They haven't been defunded anywhere. Yeah, but that was a big screaming after a problem. But yeah,
it's just stupid, isn't it? Because like you say, it's illegal. You can't just go in there and be like, "Get the fuck out." But at the same time, I'm kind of like, good. You know what I mean? They charge too much for the licensing fees. They charge too much for the business rates. People find it difficult to stay open, and maybe there needs to be more like quote unquote illegal shops. You know, I'm sure they're paying rent. They're probably illegal because they just don't have they haven't paid the ridiculous fee it is to get a license, most likely.
You know, the licenses were limited. You know, it was kind of a situation like that. It wasn't an open door. Like
so fuck that. That's not capitalism. You know what I mean? It's like you're supposed to be a capitalism society. So you let anybody who wants to fucking do it, within reason, of course, open a cannabis business, and then the good ones will stay and the bad ones will fail, and everything will work itself out. But they have to do these ridiculous restrictions. Me like, oh, you need a license to do this. Fuck off.
Yeah, New York seem to have had a few trials of trying to get the cannabis thing off going. I know originally there was a shortage of cannabis to be sold and not very many shops were open for a long time, and that took a while. Then I heard something recently about them allowing a sort of kind of a direct from grower sales to the general public to kind of address the shortfall situation. That sounded interesting. Could I imagine going to a farmer's market and buying cannabis? I would love that.
Me too. Yeah.
You know, let's start one of those guys. I think we'll get all the customers we needed. Yeah, just walk up to the table and browse cannabis. I would love it.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, come on. There's really no reason why we shouldn't be able to do that.
Absolutely.
But I mean, everybody's still nervous about, you know, keeping it locked up behind closed doors and stuff.
Stupidness, man. But it's changing slowly. We're getting there, but goddamn, so slowly. Damn.
One day, you know, we still, I mean, there are some situations to where the cannabis communities coming together and putting where the cup events and sharing events, things like this, you know, so it is starting to get the way to where we're starting to share it and making it more mainstream like that. And it should be that way though. You should be able to, you know, swap it freely in the open like that.
But there is one place here in Europe that are taking a big step forward very soon.
Ooh, yes, big step.
Do you want to reveal the big news, Marge? I'm sure everybody knows about it.
If everyone hasn't heard about it yet, Germany's parliament votes to legalize limited marijuana possession and allow cannabis clubs.
Nice.
Yeah, man, it's so fucking cool, you know?
It finally happened. They've been talking about it for a little while, and now it's finally happened. So lawmakers on Friday approved a government plan to liberalize rules on cannabis, paving the way for the country to decriminalize limited amounts of cannabis and allow members of cannabis clubs to buy it for recreational purposes. Parliament's lower house, or Bundestag, backed the legislation, a prominent reform project of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's socially liberal governing coalition, by 407 votes to 226. There were
That's
4
substantial as well.
abstentions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty healthy majority there.
Mm-hmm.
Health Minister Karl Lauterbach said the government's aim is to, quote, fight the black market, unquote, and better protect young people. He said current laws in the European Union's most populous nation have failed, with consumption rising and increasing problems with contaminated or overly concentrated cannabis. Whatever we do, we can't carry on like this, he told lawmakers. You can stick your head in the sand, but we won't solve a single problem that way. Lauterbach also, who noted that he himself long opposed cannabis, legalizing cannabis, argued that addiction researchers say removing the taboo around marijuana and giving information on its risks is the right approach. Finally, that sounds so fucking sensible.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Called telling the truth, huh?
Mhm.
Right. Education and removing the taboo are both two things that work quite well, as we've discussed in some of those other articles today.
Mm-hmm.
The bill foresees legalizing possession by adults of up to 25 grams, nearly 1 ounce of cannabis for recreational purposes, and allowing individuals to grow up to 3 plants on their own. That part of the legislation is supposed to take effect on April 1st of this year. German residents who are 18 years and older would be allowed to join nonprofit cannabis clubs with a maximum of 500 members each, starting July 1. The clubs would be allowed to grow cannabis for members' personal consumption.
Cool.
Individuals would be allowed to. Were you going to say something, Mackie?
I just think
Before
it's cool that the clubs are going to be able to grow, but I think it's stupid that the club has to be a non-profit cannabis club. Well, why is that? With a maximum of 500 members each, why is
Yeah.
that? You know, surely different towns are going to require different size clubs because they've got a different demand. You just
Right.
put restrictions on businesses like this, and it just turns things shit in the end. I don't know why they do this, man. It's like some parts they seem as if they got their head screwed on and they're making the right decisions, and then they do something stupid like that, and you're like, for fuck's sake, you were doing so well. I was like, yeah, Germany. No, Germany.
I know.
You know what I mean? Come on. But yeah, it's something still. Sorry, man. Do you want to carry on?
It is. Yeah, it is something. Individuals would be allowed to buy up to 25 grams per day or maximum of 50 grams per month.
That's
A
not good
figure
enough.
a figure limited to 30 grams for under 21s. Membership in multiple clubs would not be allowed. The club's costs would be covered by membership fees, which would be staggered according to how much cannabis members use.
See, now, wouldn't a position like this make more of a black market? Because if you can only buy 50 grams a month and you've used your 50 grams over the weekend, you know, you had a session or something, then you can get
Right.
somebody who doesn't use cannabis to go and buy 50 grams and they can sell it to you with 10% more on top. You know what I mean? So they make 10% for themselves.
Right.
And that's just going to be more people selling to people who've already exceeded their limit. It just makes no sense, again.
I think
The
they're worried about they're worried about psychosis, Mackie.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Must
Well,
be.
yeah, that seems to come up a lot.
Yeah. It's a
government
common thing. It
plan-
happens all the time. You know?
Right. The government plans a ban on advertising or sponsoring cannabis, and the clubs and consumption won't be allowed in the immediate vicinity of schools, playgrounds, and sports facilities. An evaluation of the legislation's effect on protection of children and youth is to be carried out within 18 months of the legislation taking effect. The main center-right opposition bloc vehemently opposes the change. You're asserting here, in all seriousness, as a health minister, that we will curb consumption among young children and young people with the legalization of further drugs. Conservative lawmaker Tino Sorge said to Lauterbach, that's the biggest nonsense I've ever heard, except it's been proven time and time again, but whatever. Lauterbach told reporters after the vote that, quote, dealers have no reason at all to celebrate, end quote. He noted that under the new legislation, dealers who are caught selling to children or youth can be expected to face sentences of at least 2 years. The plan falls significantly short of the government's original ambitions, which foresaw allowing the sale of cannabis to adults across the country at licensed outlets. The project was scaled back following talks with the European Union's Executive Commission. Parliament's upper house, which represents Germany's 16 state governments, could in principle delay this legislation, though it doesn't formally require the chamber's approval. Bavaria's conservative government said it would examine whether legal action against the liberalization plan is possible. The legislation is one of several that Schulz's coalition, which has since become highly unpopular as a result of economic weakness and persistent infighting, pledged when it took office in 2021. It has eased rules on gaining citizenship and ended restrictions on holding dual citizenship, among other policies. Oh, that's not really related. It said it also plans to make easier for transgender, intersex, non-binary people to change their gender and name in official registers. So those are just some of the other policies that they've been doing as well. But
Go on, Germany. Steps in the right direction for sure. Yeah,
right.
man.
April 1st.
I wonder what effect it's going to have on the rest of Europe.
Nice, man. 5
That's
weeks,
what would be
guys.
interesting to see.
5
Is that
weeks and they can
just
do it.
5 weeks?
Party.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's happening fast. And these
Yeah.
cannabis clubs will be up July 1st.
Yeah, some
Damn.
reports coming back from Percy's members in that area are saying basically that the police are kind of like backing off of people right now because they realize there's not going to be anything to prosecute here. It's been made legal. So
Right.
even before the date, they seem like they're backing off and letting the people kind of deal with it. Nice, I like that.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
cool, man. I mean, there's some restrictions there which are just nonsensical, in my opinion. But again, it's a step forward. We can't expect it to be perfect straight away, you know. I mean, it would be nice to see that, but it's never going to be like that. We're always going to take these tiny steps in certain directions, but eventually, hopefully, we will get to a state where cannabis has barely any restrictions on it whatsoever. And just the kids can't have it, you know. It's pretty simple. That's about it. Don't sell it to kids. Otherwise, carry on.
And that's that's why the statement in there we talked about, like, what are you doing putting street drugs on the street? The kids are going to get affected. No, they're not, because they're going to be highly controlled and not available to the children.
Yeah, it's going to be harder for them to get unless they're like diving into their parents' stash. But
are you eating more Turkish delight there, Marge?
Oh, yeah, I am.
I'm done with them for today. It's just now.
Really, you're not going to do another one?
I think I finished a total of 1.5, so we're good. I'm
not going to eat a yellow one again. I didn't find an orange one. I think that one might be orange.
I like the orange ones. Yeah, they had the least of the soapy flavors in it.
Well, that's peach.
Yeah, I like the orange ones too.
Yeah, Turkish delight's good, everybody. You check that shit out. Just don't eat that flower flavor shit, all right?
Yeah, the rose water ones are kind of yeah.
Well, I'd say you got 2 votes up, and I'm going to have to go a thumb down on them. I can't do them. I would not buy this again. Put it that way.
See, I would buy this again. I'm kind of pissed that it was so difficult for me to find, because the only way I'm going to be able to get this is buying it online.
Okay.
All right, shit. I'm going to go and after the show, I'm going to go to my boy and be like, "Yo, try some of this. Tell me what you think." Anything, he likes to try anything, but I try.
Right.
Yeah, if this was cut in smaller pieces and maybe dusted with sour or something like that, I might would be more in tune with that, but I don't know. Yeah, lots of sugar here, man.
So let's cover some forum news before we go. We'll wrap this shit up, everybody. Let me get to the right screen so I can see the correct stuff. So forum news. Here we have. Stutty. Congratulations, bro. He's been promoted to admin, everybody. Yeah, Stutty has been around for a long time, and he worked so hard for the forum, a pillar of the community, to say the least. And it was about time that we promoted him to admin.
That's right. Stutty is now a very trusted member with the finger on the button, man. He's got all the power he needs.
Music started playing in the background there. Sorry, everybody. Professionalism. Professionalism. Yeah, I'll cut that out.
Turkish Delight did it. That's the Turkish Delight effect.
That's right. Yeah. That's what it sounds like in your mouth when you eat Turkish Delight.
No, does not sound like that.
Yeah, so congrats to Stutty, and thanks for everything you do, bro. I don't know if he's listening right now. He's quiet out there. But anybody who's a member over at Percys knows that it's a well-deserved promotion there.
He earned this one big time.
Indeed. And we also, a while ago, we promoted Turpopotamus to moderator, and I don't think we mentioned it on the show.
Ooh.
Turpo's there in the chat for most shows, and he's always around on the forum. So yeah, just a quick shout out to Turpo for being a legend and working as hard as he does.
Yeah.
Then, right, this is a big one, everybody. We got Ali Bongo vote off. We were doing a grow off with Ali Bongo with some of their connoisseur strains a while ago, and it was not necessarily how the grow works out, but more like a competition of who can make the best diary, who can document the process better. And that's
Right.
done with now. So we've got a shitload of names that you need to go and look at all the diaries and make a vote. It's a long one. Sorry, Monkey, you're saying something there.
17 entries in this
Oof.
column. So yeah, that's a lot of diaries to go through. But if you're a Percys member, please take the time out there. These people work hard on this grow, so they would appreciate your vote.
Yeah, just sit down for an hour or so, or one evening, roll a couple of joints and click through those links and see which diary you think was the best documented. We would appreciate that. And all the people who have taken part in the competition would appreciate it as well.
Yeah,
it's
some
hard work, man.
real money on the line here. You know, we got gift certificates going back to Ali Bongo Seed, so it's good money on the line here. These people could win. Yeah,
That's right, man. So get over there and vote. Do us all a favor. Thank you. And we want to do a listener mail episode soon. We want to just like a grow guides kind of episode, but just with listener Q&A. So we need some questions. You know what I mean? So on the Discord or over at Percy's, if you got questions that you want us to try and answer on the show sometime, then let us know and we'll gather them up. And then when we've got like 5 or 6 questions, maybe more, I don't know, it depends on the size of the questions and how much it needs to be discussed, you know, but something we can get 40 minutes to an hour when we have enough questions piled up, then we can do some shows on it. So maybe drop us some of those. We want to do a listener mail episode soon, so get some questions in if you have any. Then we have interviews. We got some interviews coming up, everybody. And of course, if you are Patreon, which you can find over on patreon.com/Percys Grow Room. If you're a Patreon, you're going to be able to watch these interviews live with us. So we have on Tuesday, Kevin Jodry is coming talk to us.
Everybody pack a lunch for that one. Kevin likes to give us lots of information. So yeah, we'll be on. That's going to be a good one right there.
Mm-hmm.
And he did some recent tour collecting seeds in Pakistan and things like that. So we're gonna hear a lot about the journeys, what he's been up to, and you know, just answer questions. You have questions in chat. Just a good conversation with Kevin Jodry. Going to be very cool. And then Thursday, which is the 29th, I think the High Ladies are coming to join us to tell us about their cannabis brand and being on TV. All of the crazy shit that they've been doing recently. They've been very busy. So they're doing a lot of cool things. So they're on Thursday.
They went from just a podcaster into actually having a brand and everything. Those ladies have really pushed their stuff and done well.
Yeah, man. Good shit. Then Tuesday the 5th of March, we have the Conspiracy Special number 2. So we managed to get Ben sorted out. We got the right date sorted. He's free. Brian's free. I've messaged Connor over on Facebook, so I'm waiting for a reply there to see if he's free. But yes, on Tuesday the 5th of March, we'll be doing the Conspiracy Special number 2. And then there's going to be one more, which we've got lined up here for you, which we'll let you know about so far, is on Thursday, the 7th of March. We're going to do a live one. It's not going to be just for Patreons. This is going to be open to everybody. So if you are free, come and join us. And this one is going to be a special Q&A with Shanti Baba.
Look at that.
Yes. Going to be very cool, man. So if you have questions for him, drop them in the chat and we can ask questions when it falls into the conversation and things like that. But that's going to be a fun one. That's 7th of March. So join us on that day if you're free.
That's amazing, man. You know, he went from being, you know, not giving interviews. Now we're going to have him back a second time. Fantastic. How do we do it?
Yeah, he said that he had a good time, man. He would love to come back on. He's like, oh, yeah, nice one. Cool. Let me send you our Calendly link.
Cool.
Yeah, man. It's going to be an April Fool's gag. You know, in Germany, their pony expression. You know what I mean? It's going to be, and be like, told you. That was more Austrian, but you know, it's close enough. Next door, isn't it? Shit.
What an April Fool's joke. I can see that coming up in the papers on
Oh,
April
God.
1st in Germany. Fooled you, it's not legal.
Damn. But I think that's everything, right?
Really angry people.
I'm very angry at that. Yes.
Yeah, but there'll be some people laughing as well. And, you know, as long as you get some humor out of it, it's not so bad, is it?
Yes, it's bad. That's all I have
There
to
was
say.
no
That
beating around the
very
bush on
bad.
that answer.
You know, imagine messing around. This ain't leading up to one of your jokes, is it, Mackie? Yeah. And we're telling us none of your humor. Yeah. Good show. Good show. Lots of stories covered there. Should we move to the outro? Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
I think so. I think we've got it all. I think it's all done. Oh no, shit. There was one more thing I wanted to read out. That's right. Glad I remembered. Because recently over the boisterous Ben page, we've had Joanne Griffiths on the show a few times, and her son Ben has intractable epilepsy, and he's just been going through the shit, man. He's been having a pretty bad time recently, and they put up a Facebook post just letting people know about what's been going on, and it's just a load of shit, man. It irritates me. You know, I'm sure you all know if you listen to this show for a while, this shit really pisses me off, man. This kid should be able to get his medicines. But I just thought I would bring this to everybody's attention so they can offer any support if they can in any way, you know, then please do so. But yeah, I'll read it out. We would like to, and this is Joanne, his mother, writing this, everybody. We would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to everyone for your well wishes and messages. We are truly overwhelmed by the outpouring of love for Ben. These past few days have been incredibly challenging for him. On Wednesday, he experienced a tonic-clonic seizure that lasted for 20 minutes before he was rescued. Unfortunately, the first rescue attempt and the subsequent second dose did not succeed. As a result, he received a loading dose of phenobarbital. Additionally, his oxygen levels have been fluctuating. Given the circumstances, we reached out to Chief Executive on Thursday, requesting their intervention. We also asked to be assigned a new consultant and transferred to London, where Ben can have access to a child urologist and epileptologist, somebody who studies epilepsy. It's a difficult word to say. Apologies. It came to our attention that Alderhay Hospital does not currently have an epileptologist specialist on staff. Subsequently, we consulted with the neonatal consultant, who after 23 hours observed Ben passing urine and having bowel movements. However, the doctor recommended sending us home, considering Ben's previous drop in oxygen levels and the lack of answers regarding his urinary issues. Because I think in one of the posts, she was saying that he hadn't been to the toilet for like a whole day at all, which is a concern upon itself. Where were we? Considering Ben's previous drop in oxygen and the lack of answers regarding his urinary issues, we did not feel comfortable leaving. Unfortunately, Ben started experiencing seizures again, which progressively worsened, prompting to restart the rescue plan. Notably, Ben missed his scheduled cannabis doses at 9:30 p.m. and 6:30 a.m. Throughout this time, his seizures worsened and oxygen levels dipped to 85, causing significant concern. Yesterday, we were fortunate to have a new consultant at Ormskirk Hospital who devised a plan for Ben and initiated abdominal tests to determine the underlying cause of his urinary difficulties. We cannot express enough gratitude to the nurses, doctors, and care assistants who have provided exceptional care for Ben. At present, Ben is not allowed to consume any food or drink in case surgery becomes necessary. After resuming his cannabis oils, he had a restful night. However, we need to transfer to another hospital for further tests. So yeah, that's what she put up on the status over on Facebook. It's just it's such terrible times that they're fucking going through, you know. And it's just it could all be not fully prevented, you know, but it could definitely be reduced if they had the proper access to the medicines and the doctors knew what they were doing as well. You know, because they've seen lots of progress from him taking the cannabis medicines, which he can have legally. They just have to pay a ridiculous amount of money for it. It's sad to see that people are still having this fight after all this time. It's some bullshit. I hope he feels better soon, man. And, you know, just send our love out to the family there to hope that they are just staying in as high spirits as you possibly can in these difficult times, man. Some shit. Yeah, sorry. Everybody's gone on quiet.
No, that's fine. We're just listening.
Yeah. Yeah, so I won't rant any further than that. Yeah.
No.
It's just shocking, man. It's shocking.
It is. It's horrible that he's going through all this.
Mm-hmm. You know, so if you can support, you know, even just likes on the Facebook statuses and sharing to make sure that more people know about the struggle, you know, just doing that kind of thing can help a lot as well. But, you know, if you can donate to their fund so they can afford to get medicines, or, you know, even just for overnight stays at the hospital and shit like that, that's going to be expensive too. You know, just support if you can. You know, that's all you can really do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's everything. Seems like
Yeah,
a
I've
dark
got,
place to end now.
it is. I got one, we'll end it on a different note then. I've got one more Turkish delight boat to throw into the pot here. It was just three of us, but I did share some with my missus. She
Okay.
came in, she kind of likes it.
Okay.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
told her she could have the entire box when she picked it up and walked out with it. So there you go.
Ah,
See,
all right.
I'm gonna have this one. What color is this one? It's so difficult to see the color. That's gonna be the blackcurrant one. That one was good. I'm gonna have that blackberry. Yes. Let's go to the outro, everybody.
Is it purple?
Yes.
haven't-
That's some good shit. Let's go to the
No.
outro.
None of those in mine.
Mm. Is that fading professionally? But that was just not a professional fade at all. That But there we go, everybody. There's the outro. Yeah, so thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope you enjoyed all of those cannabis news stories. You covered a lot there. This is the longest episode of cannabis news we've ever done, for sure. We're only 2 hours in. But yeah, lots of stories covered, lots of good stories. It was very interesting, and congratulations again to Germany for being so very close to, because it's not there yet. You know what I mean? So let's don't count your chickens before they've hatched. Is that the saying?
Yeah, and that
Oh,
article
like
did
that?
not that article didn't mention home grow at all in Germany. So we'll have to figure out all that stuff in the coming weeks. We'll get some more information on that.
Yes.
Yeah,
And as
just
soon
said
as
the
we know,
three
you know.
plants.
Yeah.
Sorry, Marge, what was that?
It just said the 3 plants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did cover that at one point, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, 3 plants, because that was an unusual number. Yeah, so thanks for joining us, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't done that already. I hope this has also encouraged you to check out some Turkish delight if you haven't. If you only
Don't
eaten
do
the
it!
chocolate covered
Don't
stuff.
do it!
Yeah, yeah.
Avoid it. Go away.
Yeah, what have you got to lose? It's only like £6, a few dollars. You could do it, everybody.
Exactly. Try it out.
Just try it.
It's
You know,
super.
it
My
might be
warning
good.
is it's super, super sweet. I'm talking like sugar plus sugar on top of
Well,
sugar.
yeah, they are. They are
Yeah.
very sweet. You don't need very many at a time. They're kind of, sometimes a couple will do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I spit out more than I finished. So there you go. I
Any
tried 'em,
homework
though.
for this week? I don't think there is, right?
I don't know. I have no
I don't
homework.
know.
I don't think everybody's. If you didn't do your can of butter this week, you got another week, everybody. All right, you got your can of butter. But yes, nice bit of homework there with the Turkish delight. If we learned anything today, it's that Turkish delight isn't as bad as we thought,
Exactly.
That's
And
what
that-
you say.
and that is a nice place to end it. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks as always for being here, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for sharing. If you share, we appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay
Yes.
high and stay safe and all that. And we'll see you on the next one, which, if you're a patron, will be Tuesday for the session with Kevin Jodry. It's going to be
Yes.
very cool. Come and find out about the journeys there.
Yes.
Yeah, man. But if not, Sunday. We'll see you then. Stay high. Stay safe. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
See you later, people.
Bye.